All right, hey everybody. So today I thought that I would cover a topic that, in all honesty, I've been asked to cover many times before, and that's whether or not pet insurance is a worthwhile thing to get for your animal. So this is a topic that's really difficult to cover because pet insurance varies between different locations. It also depends on the age of your animal, the breed of your animal, and all sorts of other circumstances. So this is going to be a general video. It's going to talk about pet insurance, what it is, what are some of the limitations to getting it, and my personal opinion on whether or not it is a worthwhile thing to get. So let's dive right into it. Okay, so what is pet insurance to begin with? So pet insurance is going to be a contract that you can enter into with an insurance company. And basically what you do is you pay a monthly premium usually, or you can sometimes get a plan that has an annual price, and you're going to pay that amount monthly or annually to keep your animal on this insurance plan. The plans are going to completely differ based off of, first and foremost, what you want covered. So if you want the basic package, do you want it to cover a bit more? It's also going to depend on the breed of your animal because certain breeds are predisposed to certain conditions. It's going to depend on the age of your animal. It's probably going to cost more if you start at an older age versus a younger age. And it's also going to really depend on the location that you're at. Now, as with all other insurance companies, you're going to have a deductible. So this thing is basically the amount of money that you're going to have to pay out of whatever happens to your animal before the insurance company jumps in and starts covering costs. So for example, if you have a dental that you have to do on your dog and it costs you $1,500, if the deductible is $500, you're going to have to pay those $500, and then the insurance company will cover whatever percentage is agreed upon in their contract of the remaining amount of money. So you're always going to have a deductible. You're always going to have to pay that deductible before the insurance company will pay anything for your animal. And then the next thing that people don't really realize sometimes with animal insurance is that you always pay up front. So when you go and you have an emergency situation and you go to the vet and you have a bill that comes in, you have to pay for that. So you're going to have to be able to cover that cost. Then you submit a claim to the insurance company, and then they will decide whether or not their plan covers whatever you're claiming for. So it's not a kind of like immediate fix. You're going to have the funds to be able to pay for the things that happen anyways, or access to some sort of a credit card or something that you can use to cover the cost of whatever happens to your animal, and then wait it out until the insurance company decides whether or not your claim is something that's acceptable. Okay, so it's really hard to figure out whether or not pet insurance is something that's worthwhile. I can only give you an example of something from my area. So my location is near Toronto, Canada, and I'm gonna be looking at what it's gonna cost to insure a 1-year-old American Bulldog. And this is for 1 year of coverage. It's for a ceiling of $5,000, which is like the basic coverage plan. They'll only cover $5,000 of emergency costs. So this doesn't include wellness, it doesn't include vaccines or anything else like that. Now the deductible on average for something like that is around $500. So that's what you're gonna have to pay before the insurance company will cover anything. And the baseline package deal is around 80% coverage, which means that the insurance company after that $500 will cover 80% of the costs incurred, and you cover 20% of those costs. So on average, something like that is going to run you around $70 to $105 a month. So that's going to be your monthly premium that you're going to pay every single month. So when we start tallying that up, and I've got my notes right here, the cost per year is going to be between $840 and $1,260. So that's on average each year you're going to be paying that, and that's not including any increases in your premium that may result from claims that you make. Okay, so we've got our American Bulldog, and let's just compare what it would cost for a very normal, completely normal year. You don't have any weird things happen to this dog. On one side, you've got the people that are paying the pet insurance. So let's say in that year, you need to do a wellness exam, you need to do vaccines, and you probably get some sort of a flea and tick prevention for your dog. Let's say that runs you about $200. Now, the people that are paying for that dog, if that's all that happens to that dog in that year, have that $200, but on top of it, they're paying around, let's take an average of $1,000 a year for pet insurance. So those people are paying $1,200 for that dog. On the other hand, you've got owners that have the same dog and they don't pay pet insurance. They're only paying about $200 for the wellness check and for vaccines and for the tick and flea prevention. So they're $1,000 richer than the family that's covering pet insurance for that animal. That's for a completely normal year. Now, pet insurance is created for those extreme scenarios, right? So let's take a look at a scenario where you have some sort of a medical emergency happen to your animal. So we're taking the same American Bulldog, 1 year old, and unfortunately in this year you have an accident. The dog gets out of the fence and runs onto the street and gets hit by a car. So on one hand, you've got the people that are paying $1,000 for pet insurance. So you still have that wellness exam, the vaccines, the flea and tick prevention that you're covering. None of the insurance is going to cover that. So they're paying for those $200. But now you have $3,500 in medical bills for x-rays, for surgery. Let's say the dog ruptured its cruciate ligament and you have to have orthopedic surgery on the dog. Like, a lot of expensive stuff is happening. And so you get this bill for $3,500. Now your deductible on the insurance is $500. You're going to be paying the full $500. That leaves $3,000 of the bill that the insurance company will pay 80% of. So when you look on average in that situation, the people with pet insurance are going to be doing a lot better. So after tallying up all of the costs on my little piece of paper here, on average in that specific situation, the people without insurance are going to pay the full $3,700 for the wellness check, for the vaccines, for the flea and tick prevention, and the $3,500 bill that they got for this emergency situation. The people with pet insurance, on the other hand, are paying the $1,000 in pet insurance that year, but they only wind up paying $1,300 of veterinary costs that year because of the insurance that they have. So they're paying $2,300 versus the people that don't have insurance that are paying $3,700. So it's actually not that big of a savings that you get, but it is a savings. So when we look at that specific scenario, which is going to be completely different based off of what plan you get, what coverage you get, what animal you have, it's very important to remember that in the vast majority of situations, pet insurance companies are businesses, right? They're not charities. They're not looking to get rid of more money. They're actually rolling the dice and betting that you are going to pay more money into the insurance company than you're going to get back. That's how pet insurance companies work. You have to remember that what pet insurance companies show you is a glossy brochure, right? Like, it's basically the best things that they have that are available to you. But there's a lot of fine print that they don't necessarily advertise that you might be very shocked about when all of a sudden you have to deal with a situation and you're claiming a cost and you realize you're not covered. There's a lot of things that you really need to look into first before signing on that dotted line and entering into a contract with an insurance company. And the first thing, the biggest thing, and the number one reason why claims get denied is pre-existing medical conditions. Now, pre-existing medical conditions you might think are just medical conditions that your dog doesn't have right now, but as they get older, they might develop. And that's not necessarily the case. So you really have to dive into what it means when they talk about pre-existing medical conditions, because some insurance companies actually consider pre-existing medical conditions as conditions that are predisposed in the breed that you have. So for example, if you have a German Shepherd, the insurance company might not cover costs incurred due to hip dysplasia because the breed is more predisposed to hip dysplasia. With an Australian Shepherd, they may not cover costs associated with collie eye anomaly because it's something that the breed is predisposed to begin with. The other thing is lifetime coverage limits. Certain insurance companies have a coverage limit where they will pay for the first year of your dog developing a condition. But after that year, they will stop paying for anything, any costs that are incurred for that. So for example, if your dog develops a cancer, or let's say your dog gets epilepsy, that's a condition that's probably going to affect them for the rest of their life. Some insurance companies have a limit where they'll only cover a certain amount of time after that condition is found, or a certain amount of dollars that they'll cover after a condition's found. So you really have to understand where that limit is, whether or not the insurance company will only cover costs of medication for your dog that has epilepsy for the first year, and then maybe they don't cover that specific condition anymore after that year is done. There also can be limits on the amount of money that they'll cover for each biological system. So in the fine print, they may say that they're only going to cover $5,000 for cardiovascular system issues, right? And so your dog, if you have a chronic condition that you're treating throughout that animal's lifetime, you're gonna hit that ceiling number very quickly, and then you're not gonna be covered after that anymore. So you really want to know what limitations they have for the amount of money that they'll cover for each biological system. If there is a cutoff point, then you need to understand those cutoff points before you sign a contract with a insurance company. And then the final thing that's really important to know is that the insurance companies always retain the right to increase your premiums. So if you have a dog that has a chronic issue and you start to put in a lot of claims with them, they retain the right to increase the premium for you. So that means increasing the amount of money monthly that you're going to have to pay to keep on the insurance plan. So in the end, is it worth it? The truth is that you really don't know if it's worth it without having the ability to look into the future and figure out what you're going to have to deal with your dog. If you never have any issues, or if you have one emergency in the dog's lifetime, one or two emergencies, the majority of pet litigation lawyers that I read up on were suggesting that the best thing to do is to take that $70 to $105 a month that you would be paying into pet insurance and put it into a savings account and create a savings account for your animal. That is going to be a better situation to get into if you have the ability to do that. Now, a lot of people don't have the discipline to put in that money into a savings account, and that's perfectly fine. And sometimes people really do need an insurance company. You have to pay this every single month, and that's the way that you know that your dog is going to be covered for emergency situations. And that's fine too. A pet insurance company can be a really good option for people like that, that don't necessarily really have the focus to shove that $105 or $70 into a savings account for their animal every single month. But for those that are really interested in pet insurance, it's very, very, very important to look into the fine print, understand what you're buying before you sign anything, because the last thing that you want is to, again, fall into a false sense of security, believe that you're covered for something, and then realize that the pet insurance company isn't going to cover a single thing of it. And you've been paying $1,000 a year for something that isn't going to help you in the critical situation that you find yourself in. These are going to be questions that will save you a lot of grief if you want to go the pet insurance route. So number one is there coverage restrictions on the age of the animal? So is there a certain age at which the animal will age out of the plan? Is there a certain age where the plan will not cover specific things anymore? The second thing is there ever a maximum payout? Is there a ceiling to the amount of money that they will give you? So if you're signing a basic plan, you need to understand that, for example, in the example that I gave you guys with the American Bulldog, that ceiling was $5,000. The insurance company will not give you a penny more than that $5,000. You need to understand what's the maximum payout of your insurance. So the third thing is, how much are you going to pay per claim? So basically, how much will the insurance company cover? Is it 80% of the claim that they're going to cover? You really need to understand how solid that percentage is that they're going to cover, whether or not that percentage can move based off of the claims that you submit, all of that kind of stuff. The fourth thing, and it's the most obvious thing, what isn't covered in your plan? You need to understand everything. What is not covered in your plan? All right, everyone, so I hope that this was very helpful for you. I hope that it shed some light on the pet insurance world, and it's a very personal decision for each person. Some people feel that it's worth it, some people feel that it's not worth it. But hopefully this was able to give you a bit more background to make an informed decision for yourself, and I hope that it was helpful. So I will see you guys in another video very soon, and take care. Bye.